on.
I think procedurally, the first thing we're going to do is pick a new chairperson. I think the procedure is someone needs to nominate someone. You can nominate yourself. And then you need a second, and then we vote, right? Is that the understood procedure? Any nominations?
I believe this year it needs to be a towing operator because it was police before Mr. Chiste. I know this year it's been you, obviously. So if I'm correct, then it should be one of our 2 towing operators present, correct?
Well, I nominate Fred Schuler then.
What's that?
What'd you say, Al?
I nominate Fred then.
I'll second that.
All right. Congratulations, Fred.
Yeah, thanks, Al.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't. I feel like you just couldn't have it 2 consecutive years, but I'm happy for Fred to take it. So Fred, yes, I guess we have to vote. All in favor of Fred being chairperson of the TTAB? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, Fred, you're it. I guess you have the agenda, and I'll let you take it from here.
All righty. Is there any changes that need to be made to the agenda?
Whenever you're ready, Fred, I have the questions that we had last time. I've taken those to the attorney, and I can come back and I can answer them whenever you want to.
Well, that sounds fine. Let's do that first, then go through the questions.
Okay. So last time we had questions about, I will pull it up. So we had questions about the spotters. Essentially, we want a clarification on whether or not spotters were allowed, and they were allowed to be unmarked. And the answer is yes. They are not required to be marked. So the language is only regarding the tow truck. That's the truck. The truck shall have the name, address, and phone number. So that was the first thing. And then we had another question about at what point does a temporary wrecked vehicle turn into a trespass vehicle? So I talked to the county attorney, and there wasn't exactly a clear answer, but the answer was basically we're referring back to the motor vehicle and traffic ordinance because we don't want wrecked vehicles to be considered trespass tow. So in those situations where a wrecked vehicle, is sitting on private property for however long, the procedure as it should be, and I think as it currently is to call the police, and they should be able to take it from there. So that's the guidance that I was given. And I know it does not fully answer the question, but there is no definition for a temporary wrecked vehicle, and it's not supposed to be in the trespass towing ordinance. So if you're in the field and that situation arises, involve the police, and they should be able to take it from there.
I would assume, though, unless it's in the, let's say, HOA guidelines, you're not allowed to have a wrecked car. So they've already known that they're not supposed to have a wrecked car on their property. Then you could tow because that's a violation of the HOA and or the apartment. Because you sign that,
private property.
On private property, right? Okay.
Natasha, did you have something?
Sorry, I'm having phone issues here. So in that guidance, what was the guidance on, because I know for officers, they become a little frazzled on the fact that the vehicle is on private property to get it towed at that point. Do you know what the recommendation was as far as what's the next steps for the officer?
Wait, so I mean, I was basically it's regulated by a different county code, the Motor Vehicles and Traffic Ordinance, 14.2-3. 0.1 and -3.2. So I don't have the exact recommendations or procedures for the officer in the field, but I can ask Lauren and I could get that for you guys and see if she has any input. For sure. I mean, yeah, I could definitely do that. Let me write that down. Like, has this been a big concern? Lauren had never heard of this situation when I was talking to her. I mean, I understood, but it never come up.
I just recently had an issue where a vehicle was involved in the accident. It was legally parked on public property and pushed onto private property, and the officers did not feel comfortable getting it towed because the vehicle was pushed on private property. The reasons for that particular reason why I told them it was okay, it was a safety hazard because the vehicle was actually stuck on the side of a tree. So it was a safety hazard, so you want to make the conditions safe, so we should have towed it from our behalf. But I think that's, given that and speaking to some more senior officers, I think there probably just needs to be a little bit of clarification on what our rights are at that point, because it is on private property.
Okay. Well, I know that we actually just had to have our car. We were in an accident on private property and it needed to be towed. It was in Fairfax, and the Fairfax police officers, they called actually Henry's wrecker, and it seems like that's pretty standard practice for them. So that was interesting. Just wanted to throw that out there.
But you're the owner of the vehicle, so therefore that you're authorized to make that tow request.
True.
And a lot of times the owner is not on site.
But you didn't make the tow request. The police department made the tow request. You didn't know who they were calling, correct?
Correct. So I know it's a tricky, weird place.
For years, it's been up to the officer. If it's leaking or the headlights are busted out, 99 out of 100, they're going to have it towed. But if it's, a flat tire, something simple, but then it comes to the project manager after that if they want the vehicle off their property. So, but usually the police make the choice, and there hasn't been a whole lot of issues that I've dealt with over the years. So.
Okay. Well, that's good information. Okay. I will get with Lauren, and I will get back with police, and I will send you guidance and see whatever I can get from her, okay?
That'll work. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and then what else was there? Oh, I think actually those were the only two questions that we had for Lauren. Unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are the only two things. The county attorney, what I mean.
Okay.
I would throw out, I guess, we all dance around kind of the edge cases, right? So that edge case, I can't imagine the disabled vehicle becoming a trespassing vehicle being happening a lot, but, we want to make sure we know what the rules are. The question about unmarked spotters, I felt like, was not whether a spotter is required to be labeled or marked, but whether the county is allowed to require a spotter to be marked, just like the county requires a tow truck to be marked. That was the question last time. So it's a subtle difference. So I know that they're not required, but there are edge cases where people are like, I did not leave the property and I'm not allowed, or I'm not able to confront the person who claims that I left. So there was no marking, like there was just an anonymous person in a parking lot that accused them of being towed. So that was really, from my perspective, the question, whether the county is allowed to require spotters to be marked, just like they require trucks to be marked.
Right. So under, this might help. So like, so, you know, our county code is pulled from the Virginia State Code. And under Virginia State Code section 46.2-100, it defines what a tow truck is. And so under the definition of a tow truck, a spotter is not identified as a tow truck because of, I can put the definition too, but this is part of the guidance that I was given from the county attorney. And because of the spotter not fitting the definition of a tow truck, the county cannot require spotters to be marked. Does that make sense?
Fair enough. I mean, that answers the question. Like that
Okay.
was the question that I had. But
Okay.
Yep, we can move on.
Good. Okay, I'm glad. That's good. Glad to hear. Okay, so that's what I got from the county attorney, and I will turn it back over to you, Fred.
Okay. Next one would be for call for additional items to be added to the agenda, I guess. Is there any?
Zero here.
Okay. All right, well then let's just go back down then to the new business receipt requirements. I thought
Okay.
this was already all addressed. I didn't know they wanted to change them.
So how about I share my screen? So what I've got under here is these bullets are there's 3 changes or 3 outstanding items on the proposed ordinance that I've taken to the attorney, and I'm bringing it back to the TTAB for their review and for their potential recommendation. So these were the outstanding items from last time. And I can go ahead and share my screen. Fred, actually, I think I sent you 2 different meeting packets.
Right.
Are you looking at the one?
The last one you gave me, the second one.
Okay. We want to go here. Okay, so under new business receipt requirements. So let me go to that.
Kaylin, you'll just want to bump up the your screen so we can see it, because you're on one big monitor and we may be on smaller monitors.
Okay, wait 1 second. Having some technical difficulties here.
We could see it, you just need it to be bigger.
Okay. Okay, so under receipt requirements, in your packet, I have highlighted the comments. The highlighted comments are the ones that we still need to address. So the first item is the receipt requirements, and that's under 14.3-8. And this is what Matt Cheesday brought to the meeting last time. He wanted to include. So we took this to the county attorney, and this is the language that we decided was most enforceable out of the draft that was given to us. And so this is what we're bringing back to the TTAB for approval. So we can just start with this one section right here. So essentially, instead of it essentially, it does say, it says, so on the receipt is what it's saying is that the email address and the postal address of the towing operator for the purposes of requesting information, including the contract authorizing the tow, subject to the provision under 14.3-8.a of the ordinance. Does that capture what the original statement as written? Does that capture the essence for everyone? What does everyone think about that?
Looks fine to me.
That's good. I was hoping that approval.
Fred, I don't know, but it says the email of the towing operator. Is that the person that towed the vehicle, or is that the company email?
Company. It's company. Operators is the company, not the driver.
All right. And I think it looks okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. So I guess we need to take a vote on that change, Caitlin.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of the changes to number 9 under receipt requirements, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay. We recommend the changes then, the language.
Great news. Okay. Going to move on. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to take over your meeting, Fred.
That's fine. Go on to the next one. You're fine. Go ahead. Let's
Okay,
go through
so
the changes. That's what we're doing.
So the next one is under fees. So I under here, I actually went ahead and I wrote up the language as I wrote up the language in a way that it would be easy to be approved if the TTAB would want to recommend a fee increase. So that's how it is written as now. We can obviously change it, but that's what how I've drafted it. And I want to show you the data that was provided from Mr. Fred Scheller and from Advanced Towing. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share that screen. Okay, is this large enough?
It's large enough.
Okay. So we have here, we have, actually have graphs too, but the data submitted from, we have Henry's Record Service towing yards rent, the truck maintenance costs, and new truck costs. And so you can see, and I have all the actual documentation sent. I have all the, I've reviewed it and it all appears to be legitimate. I wasn't questioning any of that. But so I made these graphs, hopefully for simplicity. And it's so that everyone can see the increase in costs. And we have the rent, the data that was provided to me from 2015 to 2020 shows the rent increasing every year. It started about $475. Let's see, it was at, so the rent started at $469, $649, and you can see it steadily increased every year. And 2020, it's up to, and this is annual, it's up to $543,000. And then we have a truck maintenance cost, started in 2015 at $42.49. Now it's up to $58.25. And then the new truck costs, you can see, and I looked at the document submitted, and it was for the exact same truck, the exact same truck that increased, that cost the same. I mean, sorry, it was the same truck, but it costs more every year. It was 61,500, 68,800, 73,500, 73,600. So that was submitted from Henry's Wrecker, and Advanced sent me their insurance premiums and then their workers' comp policies. And I do want to, he did change, so Advanced changed insurance providers each year. And so it did appear that the same number of trucks were insured, but it did appear to be the same policy, covering the same, it covered the same, but different companies, but it did increase every year. And I see that obviously there's a huge jump between 2019 and 2020. And so I put it in here, but I do want to just make sure that's understood that the company was changed. And then this was it was the same company they used, the workers' compensation liability policy. That is the same company every year. So that did increase. So
Well, usually Caitlin, usually, just so you know, the only reason you would usually change insurance carriers is if you take your insurance just like you would your car and you shop it out. Whoever gives you the best coverage for the best premium is usually you would go with. So Advanced switching insurance carriers is normal business practices. That's not out of the norm.
That's good to know.
Like for example, I switched my workers' comp this year to a different worker comp carrier.
Okay. That's good to know then. I can definitely make that note and put that more into context, that that's not that abnormal. So that's all I have. So this is the financial justification that I'm bringing to you all. And yes, so feel free. So that's all I have. I'm turning it back over.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the data that she's showing?
Do the companies buy their own trucks, or do they have independent contractors?
Not allowed to have independent contractor.
So they're all employees?
Yeah, they're all employees. You have to carry workers' comp insurance. They're all full-time, or not full-time maybe, but they're all considered employees of the company. The same with the insurance.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No, I think this is great data. I think this is what we were kind of looking for the last couple of years to make this to justify the rate increase on the consumer end, instead of just doing it because we can. But I think this data really does show that there is a need for it.
And under the maintenance cost that I sent was to replace a transmission that was just for one transmission for one truck, exact same year, two identical trucks. The difference is one happened back then last year, one happened this year. The price in just that one transmission's gone up that much. Same shop did the work on both of them when I sent her their paid bills.
So that's not annual cost per truck. That's just one specific maintenance.
That was for one item, a transmission. That's not the cost for the maintenance for the entire truck. And I thought I sent you some filters, how much like filters and stuff cost too.
I guess, what was the last time the rate increased? That would be my other question. Do we remember? Was that 2018 or 15 or somewhere in?
I think per my notes, I want to say 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's when yeah. And the state rates were already 135 for at least, I want to say a year, or if not a year and a half, before Arlington changed its rates to 135.
Yeah, I mean, you recall the last time the issue last time was, I think it went from a flat $100 or something to 135 plus those two extra fees. So I don't know. I guess from my perspective, just to put it on the record, I don't believe anything out of Advanced Towing's mouth. I mean, I've got them on tape. They lied to me and my tow. They claimed they were self-insured so that we couldn't make a claim against their insurance. They're, you know how I feel about them, but I believe the Henrys, I believe those numbers. I have no reason to doubt them. And so I'm fine with voting on raising the fee. And I think my last point, I guess, was I would say I think the base fee is probably more fair than raising the other fees. I will tell you right now, I'm going to vote yay on on them, but that we should raise them. But I think Jay Fissette years ago made a point that most tows are after hours anyway. So like when we vote to raise those after hours, like, I looked at 2017 or 18 data, and by a factor of 2 or 3, tows are either weekend or weekend evenings. So when we're voting to raise both of those separate fees, I mean, we should know that it affects at least 2/3 of the towed vehicles. So that's all I'll say for the record. I'm happy to go to vote unless everyone else has any comments or questions.
Al, you got anything?
All I want to say is, sometimes one bad apple will spoil the barrel, but, these drivers deserve work. We're giving them 401k now, me and Fred. We're giving them health insurance. We pay the drivers more at night because it is more of a hassle. So, we've been waiting for a long time, and now we're dealing with the state and they realize it. So, we're getting the industry cleaned up, especially in Arlington, and you probably know that. And sometimes karma is and it's working out, and we just want to take care of our families, and we want the drivers to take care of their families. So we appreciate it.
That's fair.
Yeah, and you got to remember, we're competing now with, believe it or not, all these tech jobs. I don't think there isn't that many people anymore that wake up and graduate and decide, I want to drive a tow truck. It's hard to keep up with that labor force, even dump truck drivers and carrier drivers, Amazon drivers. We're competing in that same pool as they are. And we've got to be able to pay to keep professional people employed.
Yeah, I think, Fred, you made a comment last time, is like, if you do charge bottom barrel prices, you get bottom barrel service and people who are willing to lie to you and mock the other tow industry or the others in the tow industry for having their monopoly. So I mean, I've spoken my piece. You guys all know where I stand, but I appreciate where you guys are coming from, and I think this is the data I was looking for as well.
Understood and appreciate and understand where you're coming from. All right, Caitlin, guess we can take it to a vote for the 135 to 150.
Okay.
Okay. I guess all in favor of the 150.
Aye.
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 I'm good with that.
Anyone opposed? No. All right. There you go, Caitlin. That one's done.
Okay. Did you want to include, are you going to make a separate motion for the?
Yeah, make each
okay.
one separate, yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any more comments on the second one, or the 25 to, what is it, $30 now?
Right.
The state, increase the state limit?
Honestly, for that one, I was on the fence. I think it was Al. I didn't realize who said it. Your video is small, but you guys actually pay drivers more at night?
Yes, sir. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
to get them to work nights, have families and everything.
It's a nighttime differential. I pay my dispatchers more for night shift, just like a lot of businesses do.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a bar though wouldn't pay a bouncer more at night. So I just wondered, like,
no. Yeah, no. No, and I don't know if the police department does, but I mean, because they're on permanent shifts at nighttime. We don't rotate shifts where you're working nighttime for 2 weeks or whatever, and then your daytime for the next 2 weeks or 3 week shift. When you're hired for night
We
shift,
have
you're
shift
on night shift.
differentials.
You
Yeah,
do
they-
get them?
Do, yeah.
We
Yes,
do
sir.
evenings and midnights get differential.
Yeah. So again, we're competing with the rest of the, small businesses, large companies. We've got to try and keep in that same range to keep that pool of drivers, because pool of drivers are not getting bigger, especially since they have to have the background checks and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that could be drivers, but they won't cut the background check.
Got it?
Okay. All right, let's bring that one to a vote then, Caitlin. Make the
Oh.
changes from 25 to 30 to match the state rates. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay, with that, we'll close that vote out and rule that one unanimously. Thank you.
Great. Okay.
Next
And-
one is truck placards, right?
Yeah.
Or we still got more to go on this part?
No, that's the third, that's the only other bullet on the agenda for the language changes. And so I've got it up here, and I'm also going to, oh wait, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Let me go ahead and get off this screen. And then we will go back to Mr. Toomey actually brought this to us. So if Fred, if you want to turn it over to him, if that's what you wanted to do, I have it up here. He can speak more to it if he likes.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm familiar with it though. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay.
So to kind of help out with a large number of our complaints have to deal with the fees and people not knowing what the fees are for the tow trucks, for the trespass towing tows, including the drop fee. So we decided to do was we're looking at how we can cut down our number of complaints and while giving the consumer more information that they wouldn't have unless they have to try to fuddle way through the internet and try to figure it out. So one of the ways was to take what the taxi cab companies do, what we regulate and mandate that they do, which is put a rate sticker on their on their taxi cabs, and in a similar fashion, this sticker would be on the back driver's side window of the tow truck, so not obscuring any vision or anything like that of the driver, but in a position where people can see it when they see the tow truck or they're talking to the tow truck driver. And basically it's the same size. It's I don't know if this will work, but this is the size of it. This is the tax cab placard that goes on the tax cab window. It's the exact same size. It will just sit on the back window of the tow truck. And what it does is it gives all the information. We can, the fees for the car, the drop fee, and it even gives the additional charges for the vehicles towed at night and on the weekend or a holiday. And it also gives the storage rate fee for after their first 24 hours. The other thing that's on the rate sticker is information about how the consumer, if they want to, file a complaint. It makes it a little bit easier for them to do it instead of having to jump through additional hoops. There's it provides the telephone number to our office for us. It also has the non-emergency police number on the placard, as well as the bottom right-hand corner. I don't know if you can scroll down just a little bit, Caitlin, on the thing. But on the bottom right-hand corner is a QR code. So if you take any smartphone, you take it out, go to take a picture of it, it'll automatically shoot you to our online complaint link, so that you can do it right there on the spot. You don't need to remember the facts. You can just do it right there. That'll allow you to download the photos if you have any photos or whatnot. But anyway, this is just a small, we're hoping what it'll do is it'll clear up a lot of the confusion that we've been having from the consumer, and it'll just make it a little bit more transparent when it comes to the fees. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Al?
I mean, we do Loudoun County, Alexandria, Falls Church, Fairfax. If everybody required that, we'd need a billboard.
I understand.
Drivers got to turn around because they're looking at the vehicle, they're towing and hooking up to it. But I know the issues you have there. I mean, maybe put it on the tow ticket. Fairfax makes us put the prices and consumer affairs information on the towing receipt. But I don't do a lot, and I don't have a big game in Arlington County. So if this will help, I guess I'm for it. I don't know about you, Fred, but
Yeah, I don't mind it at all as long as the prices are changed on the side. But,
Yeah. Well, of course.
yeah, don't print it up yet.
Yeah.
We do have to wait, but yeah, no, we can.
But I do get it. I just don't want it to start a trend where every county wants it, or then I won't have a back window on my truck.
Right.
That's the only thing. That is the only thing that but I don't see the other counties doing it because, in honesty, they have even less complaints.
Yeah. And that's basically what our goal is, to reduce the number of tow complaints in general. And a lot of them have to deal with the fees. The drop fee, especially, not many people know what the drop fee is. So unfortunately, a lot of our complaints have to deal with the, some people sometimes overcharging for the drop fees or alleging that they are. And at least if we can put it out there, get the information out there, at least that'll help us with and help you guys out with having less complaints.
Well, if we're going to have the barcode on there, do we need all the prices? If they're going to scan that anyways, won't it come up? I mean, do we need it?
Now, the QR code goes to, I think if you scan, you can probably scan it on the computer. It'll probably send you to it. What it does is it sends us to the county's online complaint link for the reporting. It just basically it basically helps the citizen out so that he doesn't have to navigate between, is it the county that they got to go to, is the police department webpage, and it'll just make it so it puts it in one spot. Makes it a little easier.
No, what I'm saying is when you go to that, won't it have all the charges anyways without having to list everything on there? Won't it have the days, weekends, and nights?
No, unfortunately, that page doesn't. It's just it's like a stock form for name, address. It just basically it's like a narrative of like a quick complaint thing. So it's not. Unfortunately, we're not that tech savvy yet. We're working on it. We're working, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, I can live with it. I don't know about you, Fred. Like I said, I don't have a big dog in this fight, so as long as it doesn't catch on to the other 10 counties we tow for, then.
Yeah, we did specify on the top that this rates are only applied to tows in Arlington County, Virginia. So I think we put it big enough and made it quite red so that it should tell people that it doesn't apply to any other county except for right here.
Right.
So
Like
I
don't have a problem with it at all being put on the trucks. What I think the idea is, if the county paid for all the signs, they should put this up on our tow signs and then put the Q code so the customer wouldn't even have to get up to the truck. They could just scan it off the sign sitting at the entrance.
That was one of our ideas to do in our high complaint areas.
Mm-hmm.
Is to basically stick this on the back of the signs.
Yeah,
so
that wouldn't be a bad idea to do. Also, in all honesty, if you guys provided the stickers, I wouldn't mind. Wouldn't bother me to throw them on the back of one of my signs. As long, if it's on a pole, we can't. Obviously, if it's on a wall.
Right.
But I think we should. I mean, we can take a vote on it. Unless Caitlin, you have something you wanted to add?
I do. I just wanted a few things before we move forward. So I've discussed this with the county attorney, and while the county does not have specific authority we don't have direct authority for these platforms, but it is implied under the Virginia Code, where it says, essentially it says that the governing body can regulate trespass tows generally. So that was another question I was going to ask you all to see if this actually is required in any other counties, and it sounds like it's not. So that was a question I had, but the county attorney is concerned that this may not be enforceable in court. So that's just that, wanted to leave that there because I will have to also, I'll inform the manager of that. If you all approve this, if you recommend this to go to the manager, then also I'm going to let him know what the input from the attorney says. I wanted to make sure you are aware of that. And I also wanted to offer the idea of, I'm just throwing this out there, instead of codifying it, we could, police could still get this, we could get this printed out and we could distribute it to the towers and they could put it up in their trucks voluntarily without having to actually put it in the ordinance. So that was another thought I had. I just wanted to put those two things out there.
And we're required to have it on our gate and then in our office also.
Right.
So, it's got to be a certain size. I forget what it is, but I think ours is like 36 by 48 on the fence and in the office. So, the most would be the drop fees would be the biggest issue when you're out on the street, I would assume. So.
Right. And I understand that that's more of the purpose, when it comes to displaying it in the truck.
I would voluntarily do it. I don't know about the other towers, but if it helps, I'm up for it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. As long as it doesn't start a trend.
I would offer thank you, Caitlin, for summing that up. There's no downside to the TTAB recommending this one way or another. It'll be up to the manager. I think that was what Caitlin was trying to say, or was saying. It'll be up to the manager to decide how this actually, or if it goes to the county board. But you can certainly make your opinion clear one way or another by voting on this.
All right, well, I'd say we take a vote on it. And if it ends up being a voluntary thing, it's a voluntary thing for now.
Agreed.
Okay. Any other comments?
I guess I support it. I mean, I do like, you guys are saying all the right stuff, right? Like, the whole reason I got involved in this was just to kind of clean up the industry. Even as recently as 2019, the advanced towing they didn't even have their phone number on the side of their trucks. So we can have all the code we want, but if there's, the bad apples in the bunch who don't even follow the code that already exists, I think it's probably 2 bullet points above here where it says the tow driver needs to have that. So all I'm about is just, kind of protecting the consumer. I feel like this sign protects both the consumer and the tow truck driver, where the driver doesn't need to argue about the $25. The other thing I've heard from these guys as well, or from people specifically writing me complaints, is the drivers will claim that they don't accept credit cards, and they'll send someone to go to an ATM machine and then they'll speed out of the lot. So, I feel like that's a legit complaint, but it's not technically illegal. So I'm fine with voluntary stuff as well as legislative stuff, but I'm in support of the two tow truck drivers who genuinely feel like cleaning up the industry is a good thing. So I would vote yay on this if we took it to a vote.
Okay. All right. Caitlin, can you scroll to the bottom of that again?
This one?
Well, yeah, I was just curious, and you could put on there that credit cards must be accepted also, if it makes for consumer protection better. It doesn't bother me any, because most of the time we do drop fees, we don't do them. We just drop the car, let them take it, because it's not worth the fight, the aggravation, the headache. Because the time you spend arguing with that one person over $25, you could have towed another car instead.
And
It's
he's
cost
right.
it's
That's
cost
all it
prohibitive.
relates.
Yeah, it's more cost prohibitive to sit there and wait for $25.
That's when all the fights and arguments escalate, and it's in the code that we have to accept credit cards. And I think in some other counties, if we don't take the credit card, then we have to take their check,
Yeah.
So, and it should be, I think it's $1,000 fine in Fairfax County, if a driver's caught doing that.
Yeah, and hopefully this sign prevents those fights from happening, right? Where, you point to the sign, you're like, hey, look, it's $25.
Does our codes, I'm looking it up, but I can't find it.
I don't think it does.
I don't think our code specifies that they have to accept credit card.
State code does.
At the store.
Yeah.
The state code does?
State regulates that, yep.
And it is in the county code. It says the drop fee has to be paid by the same methods that are collected on premises.
Oh.
And then the on premises, code says you have to accept the top 2 major credit cards or something.
Well, it's 14.3-10 manner of payment. Any debit card or charge card that the towing and recovery operator is authorized by the issuing credit or charge company to accept.
Yep. All right. Yeah, we can definitely add. I can add that in there. It's not.
Again, they're all edge cases. I've only heard 3 of these, and they do thousands of tows a year. But the idea behind all this stuff is to try and make it fair for everyone.
All right, well, let's take it to a vote. Who thinks we should recommend the placard being put on and I would specify it, if it goes in the code, that it goes on the back driver's side window, so it doesn't obscure anybody's view or anything like that. And that way every officer knows where to find it at, if it does become enforceable, where it's supposed to be at on the truck. If you just say put on the truck, these guys are going to put them where you really can't read them.
Under the
I hate
boom.
to say it. Yeah, underneath the boom, on the wheel lift,
Yeah.
So
top
we
right,
have it-
top left-hand corner.
Yeah, put it on the floorboard, passenger seat, I don't know.
So as it's written, we have it on the rear window driver's side.
Okay, just make sure it's
Does that sound-
specified.
Okay, great.
Would it just be easier in the long run to, instead of making that a sticker, just make it a piece of paper that the drivers carry a stack of them? And if somebody wants to complain, you hand it to them. They can take it with them, scan it whenever they want. They're not trying to chase the truck down to look for the Q code. It just seems, I tend to agree with, it could be something somebody else in another jurisdiction sees on the truck and then they want to do it. And then you guys are a billboard. I think you can accomplish the same thing you're trying to get at. And, if it gives credibility to the driver, if somebody's bitching at them and they hand them this piece of paper and say, here's what the county provides, and there's a way to make a complaint. See you later.
In Fairfax County, we're required to carry a laminated little card that shows that truck is legal to do impounds. And that might be a good idea. They have to carry it in their truck. It's laminated and they're required. Whether they do it or not, I don't know.
They could carry the laminated copy for themselves and then have a stack of the form to hand out to people that confront them and complain. I mean, I don't know that the sticker is easier or harder because unless you make it 12 inches by 12 inches or something, it's going to be too small to read anyway.
I think one of the concerns with the reason we went with the sticker route for this design was, unfortunately, some of the operators in the county aren't giving out the receipts because they say they don't have them in their trucks. And what we're worried about is that they'll say the exact same thing when it comes to this. But I do like the suggestion of putting them on the back of the signs. I think that was one of the things that we were looking at doing as well. So they don't necessarily need to chase down the truck, but at least the truck has the information on it, as well as the signs, just to be able to so that people can visually see it. I mean, it is not a very large sticker, but it should be pretty clearly visible. When I tested it out, just printing it out, one copy for myself, it at nighttime it was pretty visible, and with the type of paper that we use for the taxi cabs, which will be this, it would be the same format and same style that we use for the taxi cabs. At night, when you hit it with a light, it'll shine back. It'll give you a little clear view. But I mean, I think the sticker's probably the better route to go right now, but I'm not sure. If you guys want to, I think the sticker would be easier, and have a little bit less confusion, but.
Now, I do know, you said that the tow truck drivers don't have, tickets to hand out for a receipt when they collect a drop fee?
Yeah,
but
those few are complaints.
I know there's a trend going
They're stealing the
to
money.
become paperless for tow operators. And they should be able to, if you pick your car up at a dealership nowadays, they'll text you the receipt or email you the receipt for what for your purchase. Are they doing that, or are they just refusing to hand out anything?
Basically what happens is they'll get an emailed receipt if they request it from the office. So it was, it's not what we want to see happen, but unfortunately that, was one of the complaints that we received. Unfortunately, we can't put everything on a sticker on the back of your truck because it'd be like a mile long. But I think this will help mitigate a lot of our issues that we specifically have here in Arlington County.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I'm good. I defer to the complaints that have already existed. I mean, one thought that crosses my mind is the only time anyone would care about this sticker is if they run up mid-tow. Because you get the rates by the sign when you go to pick up your car. But if I run out, the only fee that I'm responsible for, if I'm confronting a driver at truck side, the only fee that's relevant is the $25 fee. Go ahead.
Well, you could change the sticker then if that seems to be the biggest problem, you change the sticker then just to have it in bigger lettering, the drop fee, and a bigger section to make that Q thing if you want.
I mean, that thought just occurs to me, so I don't know what the specific complaints are from the end users or the drivers, but I mean, a big part of the sticker is to protect the driver and to inform the resident, but if you catch the driver truck side while in the middle of a tow and it's already up on the lift, the only fee that's relevant to you is that $25 drop fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I mean, just the last thought. Again, all we're trying to do here is make it, inform the residents and protect the drivers from, confrontation. But it's just a thought that crosses my mind. And that's all I got. We don't have to beat this one to death, but that's all I
I
thought.
suggest whatever the police feel more comfortable with. I don't allow my drivers to do it because, like I said, that's when the violence and the stuff escalates. So whatever Arlington County Police Department suggests works. I'm for it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the drop fee is key for people to know, because there have been very recently several incidents that I've dealt with that have to do with the drop fee and the citizen not knowing what the drop fee was and then paid quite a bit more than what was actually necessary.
That seems to me the logical thing. But go ahead, Fred.
I was saying, is there anything else that anybody else has to comment about? Do we want to table this to the next time, or do you just want to, or do you want to, anybody else have any thoughts?
This is Latasha. So I think, I guess I have a concern if we're going to this type of approach. Uh, I understand absolutely that you would like to, as the tow truck operator, you want to be. So hanging around and allowing or giving them reason to be around your truck longer than they have to be, that sounds a little counterproductive. Whereas if you are giving them a piece of paper, although you're with them, you can easily separate and they can make that decision on their own, not
Well,
be
the problem
specifically
there,
on your truck.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The problem there is that the driver is responsible for collecting that fee. And that's where the fights come in, where the driver says, all right, give me 25 bucks and I'll drop your car. Like they're still going to have to interact between them. So the point I think of this placard is to say the driver is like, hey, I'm not just making up this fee and you're going to bribe me for 25 bucks to give me your car back. Here's the sign that says Arlington County authorizes this fee. So the driver, they still have to interact with each other if they're going to accept that tow fee at all. I mean, we've seen where, some unscrupulous drivers overcharge for it, or they claim they don't accept credit cards, or, whatever it is. I think that's the.
And I get what you're saying, but
Go ahead.
I totally understand what you're saying on the reason why it's needed. My suggestion is that if you go with the route of being able to hand them something and separate for them and give an opportunity to read it versus them being in your space of being at the truck at that time, it'll just allow them an opportunity to truly read it versus you feel intimidated as the driver of the tow truck or even as a citizen because you're in a close proximity. Yes, you will have to ultimately deal with each other, but I think that separation is a healthy situation.
The only thing I would say with handing out the piece of paper is if they see a placard on the back of the truck, for some reason they're going to think it's more official and legit than the driver just handed them a piece of Xerox copy of something.
I agree. If we're gonna go for a raise to the state rate, then we have to step up our game a little bit. So I would be willing to put that in the back of my truck just to to make things people more safer and feel more safer, and that's what I agree with.
Okay, let's take it for a vote. Do we recommend? All in favor of recommending that the placard be put on the trucks, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, there you go, Caitlin. Simple enough.
So that is great. Yeah, back to you, Fred.
Yeah. Are there any other requests then? Okay. And then the next steps and timeline. So I assume that goes back to you, Caitlin?
Right. So now that we have the three motions that were put tonight were all approved. So myself and Ben, we're going to take all this, and the next steps are we're going to set up a meeting with the manager we're going to display and go over everything that the TTAB has recommended this year, and then he will make his decisions on what to bring to the county board. And we're looking at a timeline of if he approves everything that TTAB has approved, it would be at the January meeting is when it's called a request to advertise. We have to advertise everything that's going to be changed. And then if that goes through, then the February county board meeting will be the meeting where all of these changes that are brought forward will be voted on. Just want to make sure everyone has those dates and expectations in mind.
Okay. If the county manager opposes any of these, how would we know that he opposed them? Would you be letting everybody know in the board meeting?
Yes,
On the
yes, I'll
app?
let you all know.
Okay.
Definitely.
And if he does approve, also let us know what he approves.
Right. So yeah, how about that? After we don't have a meeting set up yet, but we are because obviously we have to hold this meeting first. So after we meet with him, I will send an email out to all of you all to let you know how it went and what's going forward and what is not. How does that sound?
Perfect.
And if it is approved, when would it go into effect?
It would go into effect. I don't actually. Would it be the fiscal year?
I think they can adopt the changes, and they would be effective immediately upon adoption. But we'll verify that for everybody.
Okay, thank you. That's how it was last time, I believe.
Immediately or?
Yes.
Okay.
Once we make the request to advertise the changes, we advertise them, and then the next month the board adopts them, and then upon adoption they would be applicable for all tows. But we'll confirm that.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And is there, I guess the next thing would be, is there any public comment? And once, twice, 3 times sold, so I guess that adjourns the meeting. Thank everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Buddy.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas,
Talk to you
everybody.
next year.
Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas also.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Thanks again.
Mm.